And you have three guest speakers. The first one, inshallah, is Abdullah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I will be talking about Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. His full name is Ali ibn Abi Talib bin Abdul Muttalib bin Hashim. Banu Hashim was a powerful tribe in Quraysh. Ali was the son of Abu Talib and Fatima bint Asad. Ali was born in Mecca on the 17th of Rajab, 30 years after the elephant incident. When the disbelievers of Mecca were plotting to assassinate the Prophet ﷺ, the angel Jibreel radiallahu anhu gave Muhammad ﷺ details about the assassination. Ali radiallahu anhu married the Prophet ﷺ's most beloved daughter, Fatima radiallahu anha. One of the best women all over. Her mother was Khadija bint Khuwaylid radiallahu anha. The blessed marriage took place in Medina after the Battle of Uhud. His bravery and struggle to support Islam. Ali radiallahu anhu was well known of his bravery. He participated in all the battles with Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam except for one, and that was Battle of Tabuk, which the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam put him in charge of the city. Ali radiallahu anhu died on the 17th of Ramadan in 40th al-Hijjah. And he was killed by Abdurrahman bin Mujlan, and it's believed he killed him by a poisoned sword. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
Second presenter, inshallah, Sister Adeena, and she has talked about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam.
Let's begin. Bismillah. In the kingdom of Babylon, idols were worshipped as though they were gods. Ibrahim's father, Azza, was a well-known sculptor. He would craft idols from stone or wood. As a child, Ibrahim would watch his father work, often using the finished idols as playthings. Ibrahim couldn't understand why people were worshipping these ornaments of stone in the temple. His father explained that the statues represented gods, and his people would offer them food and other gifts whilst for asking favors. This explanation didn't satisfy Ibrahim. In his heart, he felt that it was the wrong thing to do. As he grew older, Ibrahim became even more convinced that the idols his people worshipped were false. He would often question how could statues of wood and stone be gods, especially considering the statues would have no power to either benefit nor harm anything. The townsfolk would be leaving to share a huge feast. When they had left, Ibrahim went to the temple to carry out a prophet mission to demolish their idols except one, the biggest idol. Ibrahim said, "No, the statue of the biggest of them all has done it. Ask them about it." The townspeople replied, "You know they cannot speak." Ibrahim said, "Then how can you worship things that can neither speak nor see? They can't even protect themselves. Have you all lost your minds?" They were silent, knowing that Ibrahim had made a valid point, but their pride wouldn't allow them to reject the idols they'd been worshipping for generations. News traveled fast, and thousands of people from all over the kingdom arrived to witness the execution. A huge pit was dug in the ground and filled with wood. It was the biggest fire anyone had ever seen. At that moment, Ibrahim was visited by the angel Jibreel, who said, "Is there anything you wish for?" Ibrahim replied that his only wish was for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be pleased with him. He could have asked for anything, but instead of begging for his life to be saved, he chose for the blessing of God. Ibrahim walked out of the fire without a bead of sweat upon his skin or a hint of smoke coming from his clothing. Spectators gasped in amazement, crying, "Ibrahim's God has saved him from the flames." In desperation, Hajar ran up the hills of As-Safa and Al-Marwa 7 times, straining her eyes to see if a passing nomad could be spotted in the distance. The stream was called Zamzam, and to this day, Muslims on the Hajj pilgrimage will drink this holy water. Thank you for listening to my story.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'll be talking about someone who had a very good mother. Someone who stayed with his mother for 10 years and went to the Prophet for the next 10. Someone who loved the Prophet so much. Someone who lived for a very long time. And someone who got distracted by some kids in the street. His name is Anas Ibn Malik. Who is Anas Ibn Malik? Anas is from Khosraj, which is a tribe in Yathrib. When the Prophet arrived in Medina, Sulaym came to present Anas to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sulaym said, "O Rasulullah, here is my son. Take him as a servant and make a dua for him." He narrated more than 170 hadiths. Anas stayed with the Prophet ﷺ for 10 years, and he said some nice things about the Prophet. On the way, he met some children who were playing on the streets and decided to play with them. He forgot about the Prophet's order. Once he finished the game, he felt like someone was standing behind him. On his last moments, he fell ill, and he asked his family, "Teach me the phrase, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah." And he kept on reciting the Shahada sentence until he died at the age of 103. If you love someone, you will be in Jannah with them, inshallah. Allah is the one who provided you a family, provided you food, shelter, and water. JazakaAllah Kheir. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi
Whenever you see inshallah somebody did something good, say mashallah tabarakallah.